Savvy Business Radio runs in syndication on 8 AM/FM stations nationwide, including iHeartRadio and 6 podcasting platforms. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or to become a guest and find out how we can help you get your message out in a bigger way, call 732-474-7375 or email Christina at savvybusinessradio.com.
Is your company one of the 93% surveyed, indicating they are ineffective at forming strategy? Companies successful in forming strategy use a strategic decision process. Foresight Business Consulting is developing an online course that teaches a new strategic decision process. You can enroll as a founding member at a fabulous discount during Foresight's crowdfunding campaign. Visit the Lean Strategy Masters campaign page at bit.ly/Lean Strategy Masters or search for Lean Strategy Masters on Indiegogo.com. Our guest today is David Loshelder. He is the author of Protect Yourself, 10 Top Life-Saving Self-Defense Techniques. He also lectures to corporations, associations, civic groups, and universities on personal achievement and leadership. Today he shares his latest book, Take Care of Number 1 So You Don't Step in Number 2. His book shares how by embracing defeat you can reach ultimate success in your life. Find out more at takecareofnumber1.com. Hi Dave, welcome to Savvy Business Radio. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Christina?
I'm doing fabulous. I'm so excited to have you out here today. You're going to talk to us about leadership, and never more important than today. A lot of people are starting their own businesses out of necessity with the economy and such, but they're not really feeling a take hold of their life and their business, and you're the guy to help them do that. You've written a wonderful book, Take Care of Number 1 So You Don't Step in Number 2. I love that. Before we go there, share a little bit about your background, what brought you to not only creating your book, but being a speaker and trainer in leadership.
Yeah, I was an elite athlete when I was younger in the sport of judo, and I was pretty successful at it. But I had some goals, and a couple of the goals were I wanted to become a national champion and possibly make the Olympic team. Well, as it turns out, I took third place in the nationals 5 years in a row. So I was never able to get over that hump where I could actually win that national championship. And so, with, some other international medals and things like that and the points associated with all that, I was able to reach the ranking of number 1 for a couple of years in the early 90s. Mm-hmm. But I always wanted to be a national champion. Like, just to say that would be kind of cool, right? And so, I retired from competition. I went to graduate school, started, my professional life, and then started to coach. And through all those years, I was trying to figure out, like, what does it take to to reach that one step? Because it's real small. It's not a real big step. And so I embarked on just kind of learning more about that. I have a degree in psychology. I was coaching wrestling. I was coaching judo. And I was trying to teach my athletes. Like, I started to see it in my athletes as well, and they were, they're really good. Mm-hmm. But they would always lose it. Like, at one point or another, they wouldn't be able to reach their goals. Yeah. And so I came up with a program through my research, and I started to lecture on it. And through my coaching and through my lecturing, I devised a system of approach that would kind of help people through that. And so I started to lecture, and then people would come to me in my talks, and they would say, "Did you talk to salespeople?" And I said, "Well, sure, I'll talk to anybody who wants to listen." And they would invite me to their sales team, and we would talk, and I would talk to them about the success principles and things like that. And they were like, "This is great stuff." And so I started to realize this isn't just for athletes. This is for everybody. Mm-hmm. And it really, really can help people. And it kind of helped me too, because I became a director and a manager for my job. And I would teach those principles as well during my staff meetings. And so I was able to replicate this over and over again. Mm-hmm. And eventually I thought, well, someone said to me, "You ever think about writing a book about it?" And I said, "Well, not really." Mm-hmm. I was kind of done writing. And so I said, "Well, let me give it a shot." And so I put the book together. finished it, and now I have something, all my information housed in one spot, which is kind of neat to kind of give to people and say, look, read this. So that's where the book came about. And that's where I am today.
Wow. But what I've come to realize is that, someone said to me recently, look at Mother Teresa. She said she did great work, but in order for her to help others, she had to build a set of influence and people around her, even money, so that she could do the great work that she did. So I think what people forget is in order, like you said, to do great works and to help people, you actually have to be able to help yourself first so you can help others. So it's I guess, would you say then it's really just a mindset of, okay, I'm going to really build this prosperous company so that I can help others.
Yeah, I mean, if you focus and you say you build a big company, right? Then you can employ a whole bunch of other people. And so those other people that were, let go in their other positions, let's say, are now available for you to hire so you can, raise the quality of their lives. And that's really kind of I think the most important part of it all is to make sure that you really do believe that things will turn out okay. And that's the hardest part.
And it's interesting, Dave, because I think in all of our lives, we've had ups and downs, difficulties and greatnesses. Life is always like different seasons. And I think it's just weathering it and realizing that if you just stay with it, things will come out on the other end. If things are icky right now, things will get better. So I like that you mentioned that it's just keeping going and keeping that tenacity going. There was a guy that came on several years ago at Savvy and said, hey, I'm a world champion, but people always say to me, how did you do that? It's impossible. I could have never done that. And he said, the only thing between me and most other people is that I didn't stop. And most people stop short. And it's that not stopping short. What advice do you have for your clients when they just feel like they just want to throw in the towel? What do you tell them if they're at that edge where I'm just like, I'm done with this?
I think part of it's vision. I think to have a very clear vision and to know what exactly you want and be very specific about that, because it's first, like I mentioned, commitment. Like you have to decide, and then you can decide, and you could just wander around saying I'm committed, I can do this, and then not have a plan. And I think that having a specific plan and the goals have to be set, and they have to be set very specific. We all say that, right? It was funny because I was doing a talk with the sales professionals. There was 30 in the room. They brought me in. They said, here comes this guy. He's gonna tell us about how to be successful and get more sales and blah blah blah. And so I stood there, and there was a guy in the back. He was the regional sales guy. He was like a big deal. He looked like a big deal too. Real nice suit, kind of sat back. And I got up there and I said, I weep at the word goals. And I really don't think it's a good idea to set goals. And this guy, I swear, I think he just crouched down in his seat, and I thought he was going to disappear under the table. He was like, "Oh my! We brought this guy in here, and he's trashing goals." And so it was funny because then I said, "Listen, everyone talks about setting your goals and achieving them and this and that, and I think that's great, but we don't really and reaching those goals because we're missing the other piece. Because if we don't have focus on those goals, then you're going to lose track of what you're doing. And I think there's so much. We have so much in our lives that we have the baseball games, and we have our jobs, and we have our marriages, and we have to cook, we have to clean, and we have to do laundry, and so it's so easy to get off track. You have one person pulling on you here, one person pulling on you here, and then pretty soon it's like, well, no wonder I reach my goals. I got all this stuff, and I got to go to bed, and it's that type of thing. Yeah, but it's the whole notion of it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So it's how you say it to yourself is really important. So what keeps you going? And what keeps that belief and your imagination and everything kind of jazzed, where you're saying, wow, this is going to happen. This is exciting. And as I work towards this, always look, it's either what.
Yeah. And also, are you also asking good questions? Is that also part of it? Because I think you can say stuff to yourself, but is it also asking good questions of yourself? Because you could say, why isn't this working? And that's a dead end question, because that's going to lead you to, I don't know why. And then you're just going to be going in circles. Is it asking better questions as well?
Yeah, exactly. That's not a very empowering question that needs to be answered.
Yeah.
So if I said, how am I going to accomplish this? Why am I not losing weight?
Mm-hmm.
And, it's like, well, I could probably give you 55 reasons why you're not losing weight. Because you eat too much and you don't exercise. Okay, let's try that for starters, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I say, how can I lose weight? Then it's like, oh, okay, well, let me come up with, 55 reasons how I can. And then you can build a plan off that. So it's really a good point that you make.
Yeah.
And then having you're able to imagine that. So what am I going to look like when I'm 20 pounds lighter and I'm ripped and I got my, my rock hard abs? It's you have to have that image of yourself that really can kind of say, I'm going to look great, And
I'm going to feel
it's that
great.
whole process where it's that mental. Yeah, you want to feel great too. So you got to feel great, look great. I can do a lot more things. You start building all the reasons why you can do this, and then you're able to say, wow, if you look, if you look at America, let's say, the American health, let's say, I think it's like $146 billion worth of like money thrown into healthcare. It's $1 billion. So, and we're only become a sicker society. Why is that? And I said to my doctor, I'm like, look, I said, why do you prescribe so much medication? He goes, Dave, because people won't do the other stuff. And it's really, that's kind of where, my passion is. It's like, well, you do have control of this. You do have control of your type 2 diabetes. If you learn a little bit and are disciplined with your diet, you'll be okay.
Yeah. And what I love, I'm catching from you a couple of things that are popping out. One, it starts with a decision of whatever desire you want, commitment to that desire, or as you were saying, plan, goal, and then the focus to it, and then building a structured plan to it, but of course with flexibility, asking continuous questions that are not dead-end questions, but questions of leading you to greater action.
Yes, yeah, and it's there's even more to it too, because there's another step where you might have that vision, but it's what they call what athletes call, which I learned about, was called mental rehearsal, where you're actually rehearsing what you and astronauts and athletes are the best at it. The simulation, you have mental rehearsal and simulation. So you mental rehearse something, whatever that routine would be. Whatever you would plan to eat, whatever you would do, whatever exercises you would take, or whatever speeches you want to give, you can become very, very good at that. And it becomes real then, because if you think about it over and over and over again, it becomes real. There was I remember I did a talk in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I just visualized myself talking in the room because I've done the speech. And so I stood up, and this, I don't know, 50, 100 people there, whatever. And so I started to talk, and I'm like, I've been here before. And it was just the weirdest feeling. And I was like, wow, this stuff really does work. I felt like I was like, I've done this. I know all these people. It was kind of weird. But if you do that over and over again, then it really does, make a difference that when you do something, then you can actually do it, and you do it naturally. And then you simulate that over and over and over again, it becomes part of your process. Now, if you take all that, what I said, and you look at that, and this is the exciting part. This is what I get really jazzed about. What my coaches would call the zone, and in that time period, nothing else matters. So you ever talk to someone and you have this really great conversation, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, is it 5 o'clock already? And it's like an hour and a half has gone by, and it felt like 5 minutes because you're just so involved in what you're doing that you're so clear on what you were doing, that things that time transcends. And I think that's real happiness. That's the real fun part, because it's like when, an athlete says, wow, my body worked automatically. I didn't even think about it. Well, they weren't thinking, because they were doing it. And if it's working, if it's giving a speech or doing an interview, like you're doing here, it's all that. And that's what makes it so much fun. And it's not hard then, because it's not this arduous task. You're actually achieving these goals in a very blissful way. And it's just so exciting.
Well, I see there what you're gathering. And for me, this took me a long time to get to, is discovering what is something that my soul just calls me to do and that I could do without thinking. And often those are the things we take most for granted. For my friend, it's drawing. And she's like, anyone can do that. I'm like, I can't. But what I'm loving about this is that really, if you can get in touch with your greater, deeper soul purpose and really pull that out, you can just really just launch that into the universe. Where can people get your book, though? Tell them where they can take care of number one so they don't step in number two.
Well, I do have a website. It's www.takecareofnumber1.com. It's NO1. Or Amazon. It's even easier, right?
Yeah.
So you can go to my website, check that out, takecareofnumber1.com, NO1. And go to Amazon. It is in hardcover as well at www.lulu.com. If you're looking for a hardcover, which is kind of cool, you can check it out there. And yeah, I got a bunch of videos on YouTube. And got the company launched. So we're really excited about that. We're looking to kind of help organizations, companies with their change leadership, their culture change and engagement strategies. And it's very needed because the change is so rapid that you really have to take care of your employees, and they're your number one. And without them, you can't survive. And so it's really something that we're kind of moving towards that, and I'm super pumped about it, and I'm really kind of happy that we've decided to do this. So we're going to move forward.
Fabulous. And, you got me intrigued when you mentioned about seeing, using simulations and envisioning in your head your end result. And that's awesome because I remember I took flight classes a number of years ago and I got a flight simulator at home and I practiced, and I would use that while I was going to my flight training. I would come home and practice on the flight sim. And you said, well, this is not an airplane. This is a computer. And how could this possibly have anything to do with the actual aircraft? But, of course, professional pilots use simulators all the time. Of course, astronauts can't fly in space beforehand. They have to practice on Earth. And what was amazing to me is how useful as a tool the simulator was. Because when I went to classes, my teacher could tell me, you practiced this week on the simulator. I could tell because you're bringing all those skills straight into here and applying them immediately. Using tools of envisioning and simulations of sorts of your vision is absolutely perfect. And your new company, what exactly is your new company going to be about? Share that with our audience.
What I've done is experts in change leadership. And work with change and engagement is the technical piece and process. That's easy because there's this, it's tangible, right? You could put that on paper, but as a move towards people, that becomes harder because the people show up. Yeah. And so when people show up, it's like, okay, now everything gets messy because anytime you introduce people to anything, it gets messy. Yeah. There's a variability there, right? And, which is okay, but you need to be able to change culture. You have to have that buy-in for the people to understand what that process and technology is. And so it's really kind of a grassroots look at, okay, we know that businesses are good with process and technology, and that's kind of across the board. But it's the people part of it that really makes the difference, and that's where engaging your employees, engaging staff, engaging the people that really make it work is really the trick. And that's how you make change. That's how you have, small or big companies, go through changes because they need to be able to incorporate their people into the process and use the technology in the correct way. And then they have to have all the stuff we talked about, a very clear vision, a very good communication strategy amongst themselves as well as, internally. And all that stuff needs to kind of be, there's a way to do this. And that's kind of what we do. That's what we teach and what we facilitate. So we do a lot of facilitation with groups and organizations to help them understand that this is a change and here's how we're going to kind of move forward with that to make that so you can beat that 70%. It's change is hard, and so that's why we exist.
What's interesting, Dave, is it recalls for me the first time I got a management position, I thought, hey, I'm a leader at heart. It's hard for people to really step in and be a leader. What are some of the components you found that actually make a good leader?
I think that you asked me to go to Carnegie Hall, and I can't carry a tune worth anything, right? and I stole this from Tom Peters. He's always said in his interviews, right? Is is like he can't carry a tune, but you put him in Carnegie Hall. No matter how much he practices, he's not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So there is an aptitude there. There's also a need and a want. So you want to, and I think some of the major parts of leadership is communication and understanding of what you really want, and be able to communicate to say to everyone that's around you, this is our vision, okay? And I say our because you want people to buy into it. And so if this is my vision or our vision, then we're able to kind of move forward. So without a clear vision and understanding of where we're going and how we're going to get there, then and be able to communicate that, you just can't lead. It's just almost impossible.
Dave, what I've really noticed with some of the great leaders and bosses I've worked with is they are willing to go and get down in the trenches with the people they work with and get their hands dirty from time to time. At the same time, pulling out from the people that work for them their greatest gifts and talents and using them, helping them bring all their great talents and gifts to the circle. And I mean, one instance, a boss of mine said, hey, you're studying Spanish, you lived abroad. From now on, you work with all the Spanish clients and you're going to call them up and deal with them and do all the business in Spanish. I was like, whoa. I can speak street Spanish. I can't do business Spanish. But he pushed me, and I'm grateful for that. So I think that's something also that a good leader does, besides having very good communication, because you have to be able to communicate the vision and desires to your staff or your people. Having the confidence in others that we can lead together. It doesn't have to be that I take everything and super micromanage, that together I'm not less than if I let my whole circle come together.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think having trust in not just your own abilities, but the people that are helping, move that mission or whatever that mission would be forward, is that you have to know who does have certain talents and be able to recognize it. Because you're right. If a team is built upon different skill sets, so, one person's a quarterback and one person's a running back and one person's is a blocker. They all have different skill sets, and all together, now you have a team, and the leader has to be able to say, okay, well, you are good at Spanish, or you can do this, and you're detail oriented. And so, I need you to work on these projects because they need someone who's detail oriented, who really can kind of, cross the I's and dot the T's type of thing, right?
Yeah.
The other way around. And so you have and that's being smart. Like, I was asked another radio show. They said, asked me about Donald Trump, and I don't get political, but what I did say was I think that he needs to have a good team around him. They need to build a good executive team. So it doesn't make a difference, where you work or what you do. A household needs a good leader, right? So it's, who's going to do the laundry? Well, that's me.
Yeah.
My wife says she's the leader. She says, you do the laundry. I said, okay. So it's that type of thing. And I totally agree with you. I think it's really important to be able to kind of understand, who your team members are, what they're good at, and then give them the opportunity to grow in that situation. Yeah. So then they're able to say, then they're going to build better skills and they can lead others from there.
Oh, this is so, so important. And I love that you brought this up, because I think right now people are becoming so focused with the wrong questions. We talked before about questions, how important it is to ask the right questions. When things are in turmoil, maybe right now because of politics, it's best to, instead of attacking your neighbor, because I've said to other people who've come on the show, it's like on Facebook or the social media sites, yo mama. And I was like, okay, down folks. Because really, when you think about it, we all want the same thing. We want to, we all want to be healthy and happy, have a family, and to, be loved and such. So really, we all want the same thing. So let's stop focusing on the things that we're not happy about, and let's ask different questions so we can bring about results that are positive for all of us. And that goes for business, leadership, and otherwise. So I like that. And that's why I particularly was drawn to your analogy about the ant in the rainforest. And share a little bit about that. You have that video up there. And what I loved about it is the ant got himself into a sticky situation because he just kind of went along with the groove. Share that.
Yeah, it's funny because I was at a half price bookstore with my son, and we were kind of moseying around looking for and I just look at this book and I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I pulled it off the shelf, and it was a book on just insects or whatever.
Yeah.
It was fascinating, and I turned to it, and it was page 106 or whatever. And I started to like read this, and I'm like, oh my! I was like, this is so weird. I'm like, this ant. There's apparently there's ants in the rainforest that at night they forage down into onto the ground to find food.
Mm.
The problem is there's another type of organism that actually attaches to their back.
A fungus.
And so what they do is they burrow into the ant,
Mm-hmm.
and they work their way up to their brain. Well, the ant goes back up to where they live in the tree, mm-hmm. and they call them a zombie ant because this organism this takes over their body, mm-hmm. and basically what it does is it makes them do certain things and act certain ways, and so eventually the ant just like clamps on to the tree. And it locks into it, and then this organism eats their brain. And after that, the spore actually comes out of their head, and it grows out of the head. Uh-huh. And then from there, it disperses their whatever to replicate their species, right? And so I thought about that. I'm like as a zombie ant, I was like, there are people that are not really good to be hanging out with. And these people can influence you in such a way and make you behave in such a way that it really doesn't, it's not commensurate to your goals that you want to reach. Yeah. And so I thought, who in my life was stopping me? Mm-hmm. And go back to your question about, what stops you, was stopping me to reach my goals. It's like I'm trying this, and all of a sudden I get pulled over here, or someone suggests something, or they say, "Oh, Christina, do you really think you could do that? Like, you really interviewing? Really? And it's like, well, and you start to question yourself a little bit. It's like, maybe I can't, and so. And that's instead of someone saying, "Boy, I'm really, you go for it, girl. You're into it. I support you every step of the way." Is a whole different person that you want to. That's the person you want to be hanging out with, right?
Exactly.
It's that zombie ant mentality where I don't want someone infiltrating my brain and eating my brain up and saying, "Okay, well, this is what you should do because I think you should." I think also if you become successful, mm-hmm. and whatever that would mean to someone, mm-hmm. People are competitive. People get jealous. People sometimes they don't want you to become successful. So there's ways of stopping you from becoming successful, and that's one of the ways people's motivation, where it's like maybe they're kind of diverting you in some way not to reach your goal. And kind of drop you down a few pegs. Yeah. And so when you ask the question like what's that one stopping point where it's like maybe you just don't take the leap. Yeah. You don't take the leap because maybe that's a suggestion that someone made to you last week that said, do you really think you should try that? You can lose your shirt over that. All of a sudden they come up with like 5 reasons why you shouldn't do that. Yeah. And instead of saying if you do that, well, the quality of your life will be 10 times better, and you'll make way much more money. You'll be happier, that type of thing. And I think that's important, and that's where the zombie ant. When I read that, I'm like, that's a really good analogy. I think I can probably use that, and that's why I put it in the book.
Well, I love it because it really refers to business and life in general, because I find even when I worked in corporate many years ago, for year after year, I would be unhappy where I was. I wasn't happy with my general state of life. And it's because I was just following the humdrum. You go to work, you come home, you do this. And I wasn't going any deeper than that. And that goes for everything and anything. It doesn't matter what topic, it's business, life, personal. It really takes sometimes asking the right questions, figuring out what is your great heart desire telling you, making a decision. You're going to do that, the commitment, the focus, and then starting out and learning leadership from you, Dave. Again, let everyone know your website so they can go right there and work with you and get your wonderful book.
Yeah, it's takecareofnumber1.com, www.takecareofnumber1. In the future, I'll plug my business website too. I might as well while I'm here. It's not up yet, but it will be. It's www.3lgsolutions.com. And that'll be the business one. That'll be the referrals I'll be taking from that. And I can, the book is, personal development leadership, and the business one is for referrals and other information. So yeah, it's I got some irons in the fire here. So we're having a good time.
Well, I want to thank you again. This is very fascinating. It was a wonderful talk. I'm so grateful you were able to come and share your great wisdom with our listeners. Thank you for coming to Savvy Business Radio.
Thank you very much. Nice talking to you, Christina.
Thank you. Is your company one of the 93% surveyed, indicating they are ineffective at forming strategy? Companies successful in forming strategy use a strategic decision process. Foresight Business Consulting is developing an online course that teaches a new strategic decision process. You can enroll as a founding member at a fabulous discount during Foresight's crowdfunding campaign. Visit the Lean Strategy Masters campaign page at bit.ly/Lean Strategy Masters or search for Lean Strategy Masters on Indiegogo.com. After 5 years of creating exciting business content with amazing businesses from around the world, Savvy is now creating a new video series entitled Heartbeat of the World. This series will feature experts from around the globe. We will highlight and discuss some of the greatest challenges facing the U.S. and the world. Co-create with us and find out more at bit.ly/SavvyPatron.